Hi, my name is Cami, and the process that I chose for this assignment was pyruvate oxidation and the citric acid cycle. I chose this process because the citric acid cycle was definitely a little bit harder for me to understand with all of the tedious processes. I did have some previous knowledge from high school and what we have learned in class, although drawing out has definitely helped me to understand it better. So this is the full drawing. So right here we start with the pyruvate molecule that is a product of glycolysis. It comes from the cytosol and it gets transferred into the matrix, which is where this whole process happens. It is a 3-carbon molecule, and you will see here that it becomes a 2-carbon molecule in which a carbon is released as a CO2. Up here you will see that NAD plus gets reduced into NADH, and you will see that there is a pyruvate dehydrogenase present, and that donates the hydrogen atoms to the electron carriers, which is a clear indication of reduction here. Up here you have a coenzyme A, which is also known as CoA, that comes in and transforms this acetyl-CoA molecule. This is a 2-carbon molecule, and it is what will go into the citric acid cycle. And before we begin going into that, I just wanted to note that this process does happen twice. There are 2 pyruvates, so there's 2 acetyl-CoAs, which creates 2 processes. So right here you will also notice that there are yellow circles at each step. Those represent enzymes that are present at each step of this process, which they catalyze chemical reactions. So starting here, the 2-carbon acetyl-CoA interacts with this oxaloacetate 4-carbon molecule that generates a 6-carbon citrate, and you will see these carbon molecules in these green circles. Each pink square represents the different molecules that are generated. So we have the citrate, now we have isocitrate, and right here we have a CO2 molecule that gets released. We have a NAD plus getting reduced into NADH. That is a reduction in which dehydrogenase is present. We now have this molecule and a second NAD plus getting reduced into NADH with another dehydrogenase molecule present. We have the second and final CO2 getting released of this process. Down here we have GDP plus PI, or we could have ADP plus PI. PI is a phosphate molecule, and phosphorylation will occur in which ATP or GTP will come out of this. We also have a CoA molecule coming out of this. Down here we have FAD getting reduced into FADH. This is the only reduction of FAD we will see throughout cellular respiration. It happens with a dehydrogenase molecule. Up here we have H2O going into the cycle, and then we have this malate molecule. We will now see the third and final reduction of the NAD plus into NADH. This is important as there are 3 NAD pluses getting reduced, and then 1 FAD getting reduced, and then we have 2 CO2 molecules getting reduced. Now, you'll see up here that we end up again with oxaloacetate. This is why it is considered a cycle, because we end up with what we started with. That's also why I chose this, because it was very interesting, and this is probably my favorite part, in which we go through all of these processes and we still end up with where we begin. So overall, this process is super important to cellular respiration because glucose is getting fully oxidized and the carbon molecules are getting released and fully broken down. This provides a lot of energy to the electron carriers, which is crucial in the electron transport chain and overall oxidative phosphorylation. It reduces a lot of electron carriers, which is really important because they're all used in the electron transport chain. Overall, it sets up everything so that the electron transport chain can run smoothly and so that all of the ATP can be produced for the organism.